Whoever, if Archmage doesn't get nerfed, Karn, I will dress up in a pink dress for league start. Hello, hello, hello. Anyone here? I'll cover builds and economics in one stream so France can make a video. How about that? Okay, let's start. Let's make a new spreadsheet. Let's talk about first. I think the biggest thing plaguing PoE, in my opinion, is how bad casters are in the game. And I know I rant about this all the time, but it destroys the game when half the builds are just complete garbage. And no one, like, you just don't play them because they're so bad. Besides Archmage, and Archmage is one of the huge problems that caused this, because that exists, all the other self-casters in the game are just so bad, and I mean so bad, that you don't even want to play that shit. And I'll give you an example of like what they did and to get us to this point. Imagine this is 325, right? Or 324. So right now we have 324 patch, right? We're just gonna point out melee and self-caster, right? Let's just say self-casters were like this powerful. It's all arbitrary, right? Or arbitrary. And then you had like melee here, right? And then you had like something like what's the best build coming out of Necropolis? Like Cock-DD. Cock-DD is like fucking like to the moon, right? It's like right here. Okay. So this would be casters, self-casters, and this would be melee. This is how I see it, and this would be meta, right? That's like the power level. The meta power level is probably way higher than this graph can display at the moment, and I probably shouldn't have started this low, but yeah, it's like way over, right? Because it was probably like some like triple power of like self-casters at League Start. We're talking about League Start in like the first week of the league, and not. We can get into like specifics about how like, you know, certain people make, you know, ZHP build after you know, a week, and they can blow up everything, blah 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 blah. We can talk about a year about that, but just in the general sense, coming out of Necropolis, we had melee still had some of the slams builds were still playable, like Volcanic Fissure was playable in 3.24. Earth Shatter was not great. Bone Shatter was definitely top tier, a top tier melee build. Lightning Strike was still playable. So there were a lot of melee builds that were still playable and league startable coming out of 324 IMO. And there was barely any self-casters that were viable except for Archmage, right? Or we're talking about non-Archmage. There was barely. What was a decent self-caster that was coming out, that came out of like in Necropolis League? I don't think there was any. I'm gonna be honest. It was like really, really bad. I mean, it wasn't like super far off melee, but it was no. You guys just don't really think about the game, or it doesn't. No, I don't count brands. There was like, but Tornado was like pretty shitty of a self-caster at freaking. It doesn't do damage at League Start. Like who played Tornado self-caster at League Start? It was pretty bad, right? Melee was never dog shit, bro. Like it was just never great. There has been no league where melee was completely dog shit since like I don't know. Nobody just liked playing it because I mean I was playing Lightning Strike in like 3.20 or 3.10 or something. So you can't say melee. Like every league I make like a half decent melee build. It was not great. I'm gonna be honest. It's not great. Like compared to like the meta builds, it was never strong, right? It was never like super strong. It was not dog shit. Like Reddit is crazy. If you came out of 324 thinking melee was worse than a self-caster in the game, you're completely cooked. Because there were so many melee builds coming out of 324, and there was almost zero self-caster builds coming out of 324. Like what the fuck are you gonna self-cast in 324? That was not Archmage. Like Tornado? What else? And Tornado was a life sacker. That's how they played it. And so that's not even a league starter. Like what else? The problem with melee isn't that it wasn't even like, the problem with melee has always been, if you can't tank the content, it becomes extremely tedious to do, right? Like if you're doing an Uber boss and you can't tank the Uber boss on melee and you have to jump out of every single mechanic, your fucking hands were just fucking dying, right? And the second you can tank everything, it just goes, this is your Uber boss. You just fucking close your eyes and you fucking hold down right click and the boss dies, right? That's always been the problem with melee in my eyes, right? And it showed this last league. As soon as they buff melee, all my Uber bosses were like, boss dead. Who the fuck cares? Right? So you buff them too much, it becomes a snooze fest. You make them not good enough, it's always just gonna be, oh my god, this is too hard. So that's boss design, right? That's boss design and game design in general about how it is against melee, because I don't know. I feel like every single Uber boss in the game should have a ranged attack. I'm be honest. When they're out of range, like you know how Maven is? Maven is very, I think Maven's really, really well designed because of how like, and ground degens, right? Ground degens and the fact that most of the bosses melee and they're not like fucking ranged is freaking, it's like crazy. Okay, anyways. And since that point, right? Casters have gotten, since then, casters lost auras or lost grace, term, lost one aura from EV, can't use high attribute equipment because of colors. So like the whole point of them nerfing grace in the term was like, they said, oh, we're gonna give you these new bases, right? So you can get your armor and evasion back. But that doesn't work for casters because you don't have the attribute requirement for these armors at league start, and you can't color them, right? So that's two things that you can't do at league start. So you basically just lost, okay, we're gonna put this. Lost all your armor and evasion, lost Defiance banner, which meant the loss of even more armor and evasion and more evasion in general. It also lost hatred because physical casters were probably the most dominant of the casters. Was the Fizz as nerfed last league or the league before? I think it was the last league too. Triggers, they lost triggers. A lot of builds died because they lost triggers. Brand recall build died, they lost triggers. And I guess that's also a brand recall build. The freaking the saboteur like builds also lost freaking triggers because it's now a temple mod. It became just not viable. And I think the other big thing was it lost War Banner for Fizz casters, right? War Banner was a big part of physical Fizz dot and pure Fizz casters like Reap and stuff like that, and Herald Device. So I think that's the majority of it. Did I forget anything? That's a lot of things to lose in one fucking league. Ellie Flash nerf was like previous league. That mana cost nerf was like last league. And that the mana cost nerf affected almost everyone and not just casters, but yes, it hurt casters a lot too. But this affected a lot of different casters, from top to bottom. And then since 3.24, melee has gotten 80 to 100% more damage on every skill. It's gotten a 40 to 50% burst boost through tinctures. The grace and determination buff loss did not really affect like bottom side tree because you had the armor, they don't care about the colors, and as long as they could get the base, it's fine. The rage change, endurance charges buffed to get tankier. Grace D-term didn't really affect melee because they had attributes and colors. Was weapon quality last league or in Necropolis? I think that was it this league? I forgot. That was Necro, right? I don't think that was this, but I'm just saying, yeah, D-term is really, really bad. So I'm just letting you know that why the game came to this point. It was because you had one archetype that was already stronger than another archetype, and then this archetype got nerfed like, I don't know, like 6 or 7 times in a league, while the other archetype got, this is like Republican logic, right? One is already rich and the other is already poor, so you're gonna tax the poor and give more to the rich. It's like bad logic, right? You know what I mean? So it's just I hope they don't do this again, because it makes the game, when they do this to the game, it's really hard to play, and it's really really bad for the game, right? So I put endurance charges buff to get tankier. I forgot what other changes they made to melee was Rage this league or last league? It's been too long. I forgot. I can believe. But the Rage change was like it's like whatever. It's not like a huge thing. But oh yeah, I guess auto exert too. Auto exert was actually like a huge thing, right? It was a great quality of life. Auto exert is basically like mirage archers for freaking bow builds. It's so much freaking quality of life that I don't know how I even play without them. Okay. We're gonna put rage change there. Okay, all of these things were basically buffs to melee, and all of these things were inherently nerfs to casters. I don't think of one change last week that they made that made casters better in any way. If you guys know one, let me know. I can't think of one. Basically, you had one thing that was already good, or I don't know, middle of the pack in the game, and another thing that was kind of shitty. And the shitty thing got 6 prongs of nerfs, and the thing that was already better got a bunch of buffs. So I hope they fix casters this league, because PoE 1 fucking sucks without casters, dude. It's like the most boring game in the world without them. It's such a big part of the game. Most of the fucking cool builds in the game are caster related, because casters have so many better mechanics in the game, because every skill is just sort of more unique, and every single, like, I can play Lightning Strike, put in Frost Blades, builds the same. Put in Wild Strike, builds the same. Put in any other fucking strike, smite, the build's the fucking same. They're all fucking vanilla, and they're just fucking melee's fucking brain dead. That's all I can say, right? You can just basically put in every single gem, and the build behaves exactly the same, and it just plays a little bit different. But you can't do that to most casters, right? You fucking socket another gem, and your build becomes fucked up, right? Hot take, casters need fortified, casters need a lot of stuff. So, casters versus melee. See paint on stream. Okay, I'm sure France will take a thing and put it in the video. So generally that's where we're at. So what would we want to see in caster improvements this league? It comes down from the bare bottom, right? Casters need more damage, like straight up. If you take a level 19 caster 5 link on a generic build on Elementalist right now, which is the highest caster, probably like DPS caster in the game, it's probably like some like 500k compared to, I don't know, most of the fucking attack builds in the game. It's not only it's squishy, we're not even gonna talk about defense. The damage is just not there, right? As a caster build, unless there's a specific caster that I can think of. I'm discounting Archmage, because Archmage is like, as long as Archmage is the way it is, it's infinitely bad for the game, because then there's only going to be one thing, then everyone's just going to play Archmage for the rest of their lives, because it's going to be infinitely better than any self-caster in the game, and it shouldn't be like that, right? It shouldn't be like that. And buffing damage on casters is not as easy as you think, because even right now, I wouldn't say stuff like Cock is unplayable, because the trigger rate for Cock is like really, really good. Especially when Lancing Steel exists. So that could be indicative of how overpowered Lancing Steel is, or just trigger rates in general are still semi-okay in terms of like build itself, right? So if you buff damage too much, damage, right? But if you buff base damage too much, you also buff trigger builds, right? Which is not like great. It's okay, but it's you wouldn't want to do the same thing that they did with melee, because then you're buffing all of these trigger builds, and self-casters are still going to be behind, because everyone's just going to trigger Cock 10 times instead of self-casting 3 times, right? Correct? We're all still on the same page? So I don't know how they're going to buff casters this league. Probably shaving a little bit off of like the base cast speed of all the skills would be nice. Improving speed as a mod on your tree would probably be a little bit nice. Man, I really miss playing some self-casting. Remember the height of self-casters? I feel like Forbidden Right was the height of all self-casters, because that build had so many mechanics. And Poison EK was, or Poison Exang was also really good back in the day. Like, I really miss, like, some of these builds, and the fact that all of them are just straight up just not playable, it really saddens me. So I really hope they really make caster improvements. Defense. Oh, man. Okay. So they have to think of a way, because of what happened in this last patch, how they lost both, Grace and Termination both got cut in half. Caster defense wasn't great, right? Even before this. So they kind of have to make up what they lost through Grace and Determination, because they can't use armor bases. We can't use them, or casters can't use them at all. There's no way you're getting like two. What is the current thing for, like, let's say if I wanted to use an armor evasion base, like a conquest, I'm not getting to 170 strength and 170 dex on my caster, and while getting like enough int to use my freaking int skills at freaking league start. There's no fucking shot that this happens, right? It's just crazy talk. And let's say if you want to use a single base for armor, yeah, I'm not getting 293 strength for my royal plate to make up for the armor evasion difference that I lost through Grace and Determination. There is no shot this is ever happening at an elite start scenario. So what they really need to do is figure out some way to give casters enough armor and evasion where they can survive the game, or some sort of like reduction through like every single ascendancy or whatever. I think if you think about like what is kind of smart to do in the game is probably like putting some stuff on the tree here that gives like these stats, like gain 100% of energy shield as armor, right? As base armor, or gain 100% of energy shield as base evasion, or gain 100% of mana as energy, or as freaking armor and evasion. I know you guys are gonna say, but Archmage, but I'm thinking Archmage is getting nerfed, so it doesn't even matter if they do that, and it doesn't even matter if they give Archmage an extra, like, I don't know, 7k base armor, because it's still points they need to invest, and they normally don't use Determination anyways, because they're one freaking aura built, so they can't really expand on that. But I really think that's probably like the most proper solution that I can think of, without having to jump through like multiple hoops, because casters really, and all it would take was like maybe a few nodes here and there to give these stats like back to casters, and like they probably wouldn't even have to take them for too long until they get into a secondary source of defense. But they really do need a lot of help. Right, they really do need a lot of help for them to be playable again. The other thing to do is to just give them like an extreme amount of pool, but then the other classes would just go into those sections and get those pool and get that pool. So I don't think that's like a viable thing either. You don't know how to fix caster defenses? I mean, it's one at a time, right? The first, that's why I suggested. I know everything is wrong. Everything is wrong. They're not even, it's not real, Ventura. That's what the problem is. They have to start on it one step at a time until they actually fix this shit, because it's so bad that everything is broken. Because in PoE, you need max hit against Fizz, Ellie, Chaos, and then you need multi-hit defense, and you need like other sources of defense on top of that just to survive. Even on a Slayer, where you have Fortify, like 7 endurance charges, and 20,000 armor evasion, and suppression cap, you still get fucked up in the game. That's how hard the game hits for right now, right? You can still go into a map and get absolutely destroyed on a build like that at league start. Casters do not have armor and evasion. They do not have the freaking, they don't even have base suppression like that they can get easily on the tree. They don't have the endurance charges, and they don't have fortify. They don't have anything. That's how far the game is off, right? You see how far the game is off right now? It's like fucked, right? So they need to give huge amounts of armor and evasion to casters throughout the tree in some sort of conversion, because even if they give just flat increased armor and evasion throughout the tree, it still doesn't matter, because they still have pool problems and they still have mana issues on top of that. So it has to be some sort of like mana, like a gain as mana or gain as ES or something, so they can scale pool and get some sort of armor and evasion along with it, or they have to be able to scale mana and fix their mana issues and scale some sort of armor and evasion along with it, so they can have enough power to even go into another branch of survivability. I just spit everywhere because I'm a fucking idiot. But anyways, That's how far the game is off right now in terms of like in a league start scenario. That's why every single caster you see, they'd be like, oh yeah, what am I gonna do? Yeah, I'm gonna go to Sanctum. Yeah, my caster, it's good at Sanctum because I don't need defenses in Sanctum. And they just put everything in the damage, and then they somehow kill some Sanctum mobs, and they give whatever. Give casters block. I mean, block is only multi-hit defense, right? If you have 75, if I gave casters a 75 block, it wouldn't do anything. You would still get fucked up. You would just get fucked up 1/4 of the time. You would still go into a red map and a mob would hit you once and you would still fucking fall over because you have 7k fizz max hit or 6k fizz max hit. You still have pool issues. You still have defensive issues. You still have like all of these issues. I don't know, man. They need all of this in order for casters to be anywhere near like playable in the game. They really need a source of armor and evasion from tree, or armor and evasion from the tree, a source of max hit, or a source of damage reduction, or if they don't want to offer evasion, block. Because without like all of this stuff, casters are just they're fucking garbage. They're pure garbage. Like I don't even think they're gonna be playable until they get all of this. I'm gonna be honest, in a league start scenario. So I feel like they really need to like consider doing all of these things in the game. I just think PoE 1 sucks without casters, and they made too many changes that really was too terrible for them. Otherwise, a lot of specific builds got destroyed last league, and I really feel like they should really consider reverting some of these changes they made. Like, there's no use for triggers to be on a temple wand. I don't know, man. Like all the Brand recall builds are dead. The Saboteur recall builds are dead. I think they should revert trigger. Is there really need for trigger to be a temple mod? It was just like a little bit of quality of life. Basically freaking slams have trigger. Like, you know what trigger is for casters? On an item is basically what they have in a gem, and what bow builds have in a gem and a support gem. It's just like quality of life. That's all it is. Not having to press these buttons. And I mean, if they don't revert trigger, can we get like an auto cast for spells that's on like a 1 second cooldown? I'm okay with that. I'm definitely okay with that. I don't want to freaking, you sort of have that in Arcanist brand, but it's not all the time, and you need to like brand all the time. So yeah, spell slinging requires you to attack, man. Why would it reserve 15 mana and slams only reserves 15? That doesn't make sense. And bows have it for free, basically. They have fucking mana forge arrows for fucking basically for free, right? What do casters have? We don't have shit, dude. We have freaking Arcanist brand, which is like one huge mana soak that you still need a cast with a huge ass delay. Like, no thanks, dude. I don't even know why Mark on Hit doesn't apply for spells either. I'm gonna be honest. And that's just like, there's too many targeted caster nerfs throughout the last, I don't know, 3 years. A build specific. Okay, let's talk about base damage needs to be lowered, double hit or double hit removed. Right. It needs to happen. The skill is freaking stupid. As long as this exists, all other self-casters will be kind of bad unless you guys make specific non-Archmage self-cast gems gear, right? Like, as long as this exists, I don't know how any other self-casters ever keep up in the game. They're always going to be bad. And even if you buff base damage, then Archmage is still going to be superior. It's the same thing with, basically the same thing with Cock and self-casters also. Self-casters really need like some specific buffs to either supports or just like the base cast rate needs to be improved dramatically in order for it to be like sort of okay. This Karn's going to hate me, but streamers get sub 5-hour 2-stone runs, and that's crazy. They get too much damage too fast, where other builds just can't keep up at all. Alex has 4 hours and 50-minute 2-stone. Yeah, it's actually just insanely it's like crazy talk, right? When Nick used to do DD runs, how fast was Nick's like fastest 2-stone run on DD? The most, like, when DD was absolutely insane. I don't even remember. Was it sub? It wasn't even sub 5 hours, right? But that was when DD was insane. and DD basically cleared the screen in one go. And even like it, like if they felt like DD was broken, this is even better than what DD was back then when it's at its height of its power. So I mean, it doesn't like we're just using that for comparison, right? What else? Oh, power siphon. I don't even really think this really needs to be nerfed. I'm gonna be honest. Does power siphon really need to be nerfed? It doesn't scale for shit after a while. I think the problem with power siphon is that it's good for early progression, but even like a slight like multi nerf on the skill would, I don't know. I'm gonna put it in. Probably a little multi nerf. I don't know. Like I don't even think it needs too much. I'm gonna be honest. It's only really good at the start of the league, and it falls off a cliff. Okay. These guys deserve it. Having shit that, I mean, I don't know why GGG does this, right? They specifically like to remove everything that scales with this defense and offense and make them like kind of like shit. And they left this alone for like so long. And then they remade Energy Blade to basically be something that scales off your defense. And then like these endgame builds just do like way too much damage. And it's gotten progressively worse because at least like 2 leagues ago, you had Pathfinder to keep up with this in terms of like defenses. And Pathfinder got freaking like 5-prong nerfed since then. And this just survived for some reason. I don't fucking understand. Because back then, in terms of defenses, like Trickster defenses kept up with Pathfinder in like Affliction League, right? They were both really tanky. It's just that the Trickster builds just didn't do enough damage. In comparison. But now, like, Pathfinder got like 7-prong nerfed, and like Penance Brand of Dissipation got nerfed. Like, I don't know. PF is just sort of like a piece of shit. But if they were gonna nerf all the Fizz's Ellie stuff, and I don't know why they left us alone. No idea. Yeah, and they technically got buffed because they got new armor bases, right? So another blunder, I would guess. What else for build specific? Oh yeah, this is definitely the Penance Brand of Dissipation treatment. You want to nerf Catabasis? Why do you want to nerf Catabasis, guys? Why do you want to nerf Frostblades of Catabasis? What's broken about it? Frostblades of Catabasis is a 409 DPS skill that has nothing on it. Well, what is so broken about this? It's the same thing. You want to nerf Frostblades 410? That's nothing. You know what Lightning Strike is right now? Lightning Strike is 456 times 2. That's 912. You want to nerf 409? And bro, this is 912 versus 410, bro. Why would you want to nerf a 410 skill? Do you want to see what slams are? Okay, so I don't know what you guys are asking for. Compared to like stuff like Lightning Strike and slams and stuff like that, like Frostblades doesn't do shit, bro. Because you have to remember, Frostblades doesn't get hit, double hit. If you want to nerf stuff, like there's a higher chance of Smite getting nerfed than Frostblades. Smite is actually 489 times 2 also, but the area is actually, it's 489 times 2 times 0.9, right? Basically what it is. So it's just as bad as Lightning Strike in terms of single target. It just doesn't have as much coverage because Smite can also double hit. So when you guys are asking for nerfs, you guys should really ask like why these things need nerfs and not just throw out random fucking shit. I know Earth Shatters times 3, Volcanic Fissure is x3. Volcanic Fissure is this. Volcanic Fissure is 318 times 3. You do the math. Okay. So like you guys are asking for a fucking 410 skill to get nerfed when there's 318 times 3. It doesn't make sense. I know there's a 70% attack speed on Volcanic Fissure. I understand that. That's the reason why it's not like as broken as like something Lightning Strike where it's like 100% of base. And yeah, but still, guys, come on, mathematically, okay. 318 times 3 times 0.7 is still 667. This is 410. Like, you guys, it's not even remotely the same, guys. And one uses a fucking two-hander at the fucking at League Star with fucking like with a bunch of multipliers from their fucking like their fucking shouts and shit. Okay, if you guys think Frostblades is so broken, go do a pure Frostblades 2-stone run and show me your time. If you're asking it to get nerfed, because I don't think it's really good. No, Zenith is fucking like, Zenith needs the POB Penance Brand of Dissipation treatment. That shit is like fucking like, it's like 3x Lightning Strike or some stuff like that with return projectiles, right? I don't remember the exact number. I think it might even need worse than the Pedish brand of dissipation treatment. But so all of these skills are just like really overtuned. Zenith is balanced by AI. Yeah, that skill is literally balanced. Dude, I feel like I don't know, man. If you had AI balanced last league, do you think it would have been as bad? I don't know, man. Okay. Anything else? I think these are the main like really bad things in the game right now. Here's the thing with Hexblast, right? I think Hexblast is good as a league starter, but it doesn't continue to anything good. It's kind of like Power Siphon, but they build like ZHP. It off-screen stuff, it freezes everything, but it can't really juice for shit because it falls off pretty hard off of a fucking thing. That's why I don't even think, like, maybe like a little bit of a nerf if they really wanted to. I don't know. Then he just plays. Bro, I watched a clip of Red Vials getting farmed in like freaking like T7 exiles, bro. Like T7 exiles. Not even T16 exiles or T8 exiles. I just don't think it's that broken. I'm being honest. Like stuff that's mid tier, I feel like Hexblast, Frostblades, and they're like solid builds, but they're not like broken. And if they're not broken, I don't think like going after these builds is like the right thing to do in the game because it like why do you want to take away the fun from everyone's builds? That's like weird. But stuff like this is just stupid, right? I don't even think Power Siphon really needs that much of a nerf, to be honest. It's just really strong at the start. Like I don't even think it needs this, I'm gonna be honest. Like, they would be even okay. I would even be okay if they just changed the quality on Power Siphon to something else. And then it wouldn't even be that bad, right? Because the quality on Power Siphon is like really good. Oh, that's PoE too. Yeah, it's 10 multi per power charge, right? So so they get like 10 power charges and like 100 multi, and 100 multi for a freaking 100 multi for quality is kind of like broken. So even if they nerf this in half, it's probably like okay. I'm gonna be honest. I don't even really think it really needs too much. Peaconka bouncing is actually really good too, but is it like broken? It's only really good at the start, and I don't even think that really needs a nerf either. I don't think any of these stuff that's not like on the extreme ends of like what they're really good at. I don't really think they really need nerfs. That's just the way I think about it. I mean, every caster needs a buff. But yeah, I was talking about it the other day. I was like, if they gave Winter Orb 3x damage, the skill would still be shit. So it's pretty ass. But to be fair, I think like 5 or 6 leagues ago when we did our 10 div challenge, I did kill all the Ubers on 10 divines on Winter Orb. So it's actually not that bad for bossing if you stack some curses. But yeah, I mean, the build's gotten worse since then because of all the caster nerfs. But yeah, it's just too bad of a skill right now. And also Hatred got nerfed also, right? Why play Winter Orb when BV exists? Because I don't know. Some people like Winter Orb, but yeah, Winter Orb really needs like, honestly, is just caster improvements, right? Like stuff like Vortex. Did Vortex really need to become non-self cast? Let's be honest. I know Ignite Vortex was like. I know GGG hated Ignite Vortex because it's literally RF with like 30 million damage late game, and you just ran through the map and the whole screen exploded, and you're like, but it wasn't really that good. It wasn't really that good of a build. It was just kind of fun. If I forgot anything on specific skills, let me know. This is just a recap. Oh, economy. Oh, guys, you guys ready for the economy section? Oh, here we go, dude. Here we go, dude. The economy section. Woo-wee! Oh, the economy section.
You're so popular.
Generally, what I feel like would be really good for the game in the economy. Okay, first of all, let's get the first thing out of the way. Should not drop divines until red maps. I don't care what anybody says. Like you as a normal player, you don't get divines until red maps anyways. Why are people dropping divines in white maps and Sanctum? That's crazy. It should never drop a divine until it gets to red maps.
Rue, you're so popular.
That's the way I look at it. It just should not. It doesn't make sense, right? I'm okay with them farming divines. I'm not okay with them farming divines that early where they could just buy a whole entire build off trade, and because no one else has any sort of currency. So I don't like that. I think they should have to play a normal build until they get to red maps and then be able to farm Sanctum. They shouldn't be able to finish campaign and do that shit and just get more money than everyone else. That's crazy. They definitely should not happen. and people are gonna hate me. Remove fucking AFK builds that multi-box. That shit is fucking so fucking stupid. Like, if you're gonna nerf Ignite Vortex because you guys don't want us to press a button, these guys literally farm for days without freaking pressing buttons, dude. They just fucking leave their character AFK in the middle of fucking nowhere and they just pick up loot. That's stupid. If you're gonna nerf Ignite Vortex, how are you gonna leave this shit in the game? Simulacrum, if there is no Simulacrum AFK, if you AFK Simulacrum, you understand you get like 4 rewards, right? That's basically wasting time. In fact, Simulacrum needs to be buffed, dude. While we're on the subject, Simulacrum loot sucks. It's actually trash. I think armor, weapon, jewelry, rewards need to be removed, and other rarer rewards needs to be standardized. Do you guys agree with that? I feel like all they need to do is remove all the shitty rewards and then standardize stuff like currency and scarabs and blight and all of that stuff, as long as they're like equal. And like you shouldn't get 1 scarab node out of like every 100 freaking like armor jewelry nodes. That makes Simulacrum so shit. It makes Delirium shit too. So I feel like they need to standardize like all of those rewards and just remove the 3 that freaking is useless to pretty much everyone. And I feel like that's what they need to do, because right now I feel like Simulacrum's not even worth doing. Another thing that's really too many useless underpowered scarabs. There's too many useless and underpowered scarabs. A lot of the strats in the game, the top end strats and the lower end strats they're too far apart. Like the power difference between Titanic and boxes versus farming harbingers is like, it's like so far apart that one is not really even playing the game anymore, I think. I really do think a lot of the underpowered scarabs need to be brought up in value, and a lot of the overpowered ones need to be brought down a little bit, so it's a little bit more even of a playing field. I'm like one of those socialist PoE players where I feel like the everyday player deserves to be able to farm good items and deserves good money, and not only the players who play 24 hours a day deserves loot. I feel like everyone deserves loot. So I'm one of those socialist PoE players. So I think the top end needs to be brought down a little bit, and then the bottom end needs to be brought up a little bit in a lot of scarabs. What I mean by that is, okay, so loot in PoE is still fucked up, right? The base game loot is really bad. Have you guys ever went through your like 2-stone run and you went through all your white, yellow, and red maps and looked at your inventory and you're like, oh shit, I don't have anything. And then all of a sudden, like a day later, you're like, whoa, I actually have some currency now. It's because stuff like tiles, altars, the stuff that guarantees you loot happens later on in the game, and the base game itself doesn't really drop shit. I don't know what they did to the base game a while ago, but in Furussia, we had like a strat where we killed like 250 abyss rares with like 2,000 magic monsters, and you get shit basically for killing 250 rares and like 2,000 magic monsters. And we tested this, right? Throughout many maps. Just base game rares and monsters just do not drop loot. They drop garbage in the game. So but that's gonna be a harder fix than like people actually think. So a lot of the scarabs, like abyss scarabs that rely on like killing rares, they're just garbage. Like harbingers is garbage. Harbingers actually have standardized loot in terms of shards, but fracture shards are too rare, and ever since Exalt and Divines got swapped, Exalt shards are just not worth anything, and Annul shards are not worth anything. So either they need to add Divine shards into Harbingers, or it's going to be kind of like worthless for forever. I think they really need to consider doing some of that stuff. I don't know how they're going to fix Abyss. Maybe like, I think the easiest thing to do is to add tiles onto a scarab for now until they can fix the freaking quantity and rarity on like the base game, because it's really bad, right? It's really bad. You know, like when you do Legion and there's like a little like chaos orb on top of their heads, and they drop a bunch of currency when you kill that guy. That's what tiles are. And tiles are basically the only mid-game farming strat that's available in the game right now. for a lot of different people. Because like the broken strat, like Fubgoon is always gonna like go to like, you know, like the more broken strat where you need to play like 20 hours a day. So, and all of those things are going to be kind of expensive because people like him would do some stuff like that, right? So all the mid game things that are left for like a normal PoE player to do right now are basically like tile farm and I don't know, just like normal, just like underpowered stuff, farming some beasts, tile farm, and like harvest, but harvest you can't do at League Star. Maybe like some expedition, and all those strats are like very like low value strats compared to like the higher value strats. So I would like to see like the lower end strats be brought up. I would like to see some of the underpowered scares be brought up and some of the overpowered ones brought down. Like the overpowered ones, I mean like Ultimatum Catalyst is like, I don't know, 20 divines an hour of raw divines. An hour per like ultimatum character, right? Of raw divines. And like raw divines versus, you know, like having to sell all this shit is very different also. I think bots, I don't think there's anything wrong with bossing at the moment. It's still like a big
Ooh,
freaking
you're so popular.
RNG gambling fest, but it's always been like that and it'll never change, right? So I don't think there's anything wrong with bossing. Crafting. Oh. Do we want to talk about crafting and the state of crafting in PoE1? Oh no, I don't want to talk about this. This is not a subject we want to talk about. It really depends. Are they gonna keep recombinators in the game? Because recombinators are actually really overpowered, and they're like really good. But they're not overpowered to the point where you don't have to do anything. But I think they're still good in the game. Locks are cringe. Locks are not cringe. You know what? Okay. Do you guys want to understand why locks are the way they are and why you never get to use them? Do you guys really want to understand? It's because mirrors exist. It's because mirrors exist, RMT groups exist, and here, let me tell you how the PoE economy works, okay? If you don't understand how it works. Number one, at the top of the PoE economy, there's something called mirrors, right? And the mirrors let you copy any item that you make for any player as long as they have a mirror. And this is the most detrimental thing that is in the game right now to the game. And it's freaking hurting the game in so many different ways, and it's been hurting it for years, and they still haven't done anything about it. And what it does is because have you ever looked at a lock in the middle of the league and it's 80 divines, and then mirror crafters need to spend 100 locks to get the one mod they need to finish their mirror item, and you're like, well, how did they like, you know, 100 times 80? That doesn't make sense. Right? But it makes perfect sense because a mirror item is worth thousands and thousands of divines to these guys, right? Because they literally charge you like 80 to 100, 200 divines per copy that you want to make. So they're just like, so these items are just infinite money. So they can literally pay for whatever the price they want to pay for all of these items to finish these items. Whether it comes from, whether it's vultures, imprints, to Hinakora's locks, and all of these high-end items will forever be out of the reach of normal players because mirrors exist in the game, right? They eat all the vultures, they eat all the locks, they eat all the things, all of these guys, and it's not like they play fairly too, right? And most of these people, they're all fucking either exploiting cucks, RMT cucks, to try to make mirror items, right? They all use fucking auto rollers, fucking RMT, D2 JSP. They're just dark as fuck. Okay. Or the better ones are the group players are actually the better ones out of the bunch that I'm talking about because they actually play the game and they just pull their currency together, right? And in order for like normal players to combat these dark cucks that are in the game, streamers have to take handouts from their streams so they can get enough currency, they can amass enough wealth to start making their own mirror items. And then like a week and 2 weeks into the league, it's streamer donations versus RMTers, right? And because they're fighting for all of this stuff on the top, the rest of the players base on the bottom is forever just fucked in terms of like crafting gear or making the stuff they want, right? And it creates this ever never ending loop of fucking garbage in the game where like all the top end items are just forever taken by these few people, right? And they really need to do, that's not overly dramatic. That is literally what happens. Just craft your shit, it's fine. Yeah, you sound like one of those people who want to keep everything the same so you can buy your apartments. That's who you sound like. Well, I'm not gonna believe you because I know exactly what the game is, and your apartments are going away because when soon as Mark figures out like what to do with all of you guys are done because he has to understand, he has to know by now that all of these like degenerates are doing this to his game, right? And it's gonna be forever like holding down the normal player, which is stupid because the normal player, as long as they're having fun, is the ones that are going to give the company money, right? They're the ones buying the supporter packs. So giving more fun to the normal player is exactly what Mark's going to do. When he puts his foot down, it's going to be over for all of you little fucking RMT cucks. Since when PoE was for the normal player, he's been doing a lot. You know, he's been doing a lot for the normal player ever since like 10 leagues ago, right? A lot. The Atlas tree and stuff like that, and all of those things were purposely made to give the everyday like all can go player like more loot and stuff like that. Oh, do your worst. Sorry, it's do your worst. It is do your worst. Sorry, my bad. English is hard, you know. So I don't know why my brain's fucking slipped there. Stupid. Okay. Anyways, honestly, that's honestly what needs to happen, right? That shit needs to get fucking deleted. Everybody knows this. Everybody who plays the game knows this. I had a discussion with Fub. He agrees with me 100%. And we play the game as normal players. That shit is so toxic for the game right now. They won't ever do that. They will. They have to at one point. Guys, mirrors are like communism, right? In like, when you talk about it, it sounds beautiful, but it doesn't fit because human greed exists. You understand that? Mirrors are literally communism, right? When you talk about it, it's like, oh man, this is great, right? I wish the whole world was like this. And then you come in and you try to impose communism and it's just like, the most horrible thing in the world because greed exists and mirrors are the same exact way. Okay, anyways. So honestly, something needs to change, right? It can't be fucking RMTers versus streamers for the rest of the time I play PoE. It's just it's stupid, right? They gotta do something about this. And what about synth-based rolling for mirror crafting? It's the same thing. Mirrors aren't the problem. Access to mirrors is that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Just delete it. Then you don't have to worry about access or the fucking item. How about that? I think so. I think items that I think the mirror tag should be given on both items, if anything. It would stay, like, if you made a mirror tag on both items, mirrors would still be valuable, right? It would be so much better for the economy if that happened. It would still be a chase item. They would just have to give both fucking tags to both items. That's what really needs to happen, right? Because all that would do is lower the price of a mirror item from 7,000 divines to 1,000 divines. It would still be valuable, right? It would still take the time of all of these guys every day to be making these because it takes a long time to make the item and they would have to devote the rest of their lives enslaving away instead of being overlords where they make the item once and just sit there for the whole entire league just charging you over and over. They have to craft every day, which will like destroy their lives. So I'm okay with destroying their lives if that's what they want to do. So I'm okay with all of that, right? So as long as they do something to this fucking currency, I'll be happy. Because more power needs to be given. Like, if you made a poll and asked the normal player who plays 5 to 10 hours every day, how many times they used the Hinakora's lock in the last, like, 3 leagues, I'll bet you the number is not very high. I'm gonna be honest. You'll probably have a few people that actually use them, and everyone else is gonna be, like, 0. Because they're just not affordable and they're not worth using for the normal player. And what PoE needs to do is give more power to the normal player because the normal player pays their bills. They can't forget about the normal person, right? The normal person, if the option before a dev is to give fun to like a select few or the masses, it should always be the masses, right? Because if you give these guys fun, they're gonna enjoy the game and they're gonna give you money. Who the fuck cares about the fucking 10 people who RMT, dude? They're gonna use that money to buy apartments. It's not gonna support your game. And this affects everyone, right? People will hear the mirror thing and they'll be like, oh, it only affects like you clowns who play 10 hours a day. Unlike real life, trickle down economics is real in Path of Exile, especially with meta builds, right? Because at every stage of the build, someone will upgrade their gear and the next level of gear will come down. right? And as long as high-end crafting mats are really, really high, your trickle-down economics is always going to be based on mirror prices instead of like normal gear prices. I think that's a little bit harder for other people to understand, but trickle-down economics is actually real in PoE. It's not that real in real life because like when are you going to get hand-me-downs for like maybe for a car, but or a house, but you're definitely not getting hand-me-downs for clothes, right? But it's actually real in PoE, so you guys definitely know this, right? I'm sure you guys will know when you guys buy used armor or an armor that's like freshly like minted or something that's never been worn. It's only brokies use secondhand armor. You know, there's a lot of players who use secondhand armor in this game, right? Especially for like stuff that's meta, and a lot of players play meta builds. I'm pretty sure like your stuff always sells in this game. Anyways, whatever, dude. I don't want to talk about trickle down economics and PoE too much because it's another subject. But this definitely affects every single player in the game, right? It definitely does. Every single player, and people, they just really need to think about it a little bit to kind of understand why it does. Oh shit. All right, okay, I'm not going to talk about Eldritch Implicits and...
Strat next league, be prepared.
I don't want to talk about Eldritch Implicits and Orbs of Conflict. I do not want to talk about that. That thing makes me so angry. I don't want to talk about that ever. Let's just not talk about it ever, okay? I think in terms of economy, those are the main points in the economy that they really need to look at. Because this is actually improvements for like everybody in the game that plays the game, right? Well, except for the Sanctum runners, but this is just too stupid. But this is actually like improvements for like everyone. No, I mean, Sanctum runners will still be able to farm. They just can't farm as early, which I think is like, okay, it's fair. I mean, I don't think the economy is in a bad place. That's not what I'm saying. I said, I think it's actually like pretty okay, but it could always be improved, right? The only thing that's like really, really bad in the game right now is casters. I think that's the thing that when I think about casters in the game, I'm just like, what the fuck is that? That's the only thing that's really, 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 really bad in the game. I mean, too many things got removed last league. I'm gonna be honest. Last league was one of the worst like nerfs in terms of like overall builds that you can play in the game in a long time. Think about how many like things got destroyed last league. Just a single like trigger nerf kind of like removed, I don't know, like 3 builds from the game. Banners were like really, really bad. They replaced 3 of the best items or 3 of the best skills in the game with like 2 useless skills and 1 that's like barely useful for melee. Yeah, banners were really, really bad because Dread Banner was one of the best skills in the game. Defiance Banner was really, really good, and War Banner was really, really good for fizz builds, right? So 3 of like really useful items, skills that were really good, they turned them into like, I don't know. Bro, look at what Defiance Banner is right now, man. Do you guys even know what Defiance Banner does? Let me show you what Defiance Banner does. Because I'll bet you a lot of people don't know. It grants you 8 suppression to you and your allies, and it gives you more when you drop the banner. Who the fuck is gonna use conditional suppression? Who the fuck is gonna do that? Dread Banner is 4% chance to block. I mean, to be honest, Dread Banner is probably one of the most broken skills in the game before this patch. Especially on an Impale build, it was like so much damage on so much freaking defense in one item for 10% aura. I can understand that Dread Banner is kind of fucking like obscene of a banner, but this is like what they replaced it with was like, yeah, I don't know, man. I think these skills are literally like worse than PoE2 skills. I wonder if there was any play rate on them last league. At least War Banner gives you a little bit of damage when you need it, but it's only fizz damage. So very niche, and yeah, it's still like worse than old War Banner, but yeah, it's also dog shit, Karn. I think the banner changes were really, really bad. They killed a lot of builds with this. Like, Corrupting Fever died, all the evasion builds got worse, casters got way worse when they lost all their banners, because like Dread Banner and Defiance Banner were kind of carrying casters for like a long time for defenses too, and once they lost that, it was just fucking over. It was like, right, like a hit from like every direction, basically. I mean, if we see half of these changes this league, it'll be great. It'll be a lot better than last one. I hope they do though. Is there anything else I forgot that really sucked last league? I don't remember. I feel like crafting is in a decent place. Not having Not having Veiled Chaos kind of sucks. Buff bows? Bro, like I don't even think you understand where casters are if you're asking for bow buffs, man. I know bows aren't in the greatest, like they're like really middle of the pack right now, and or maybe middle low for endgame because melee's so overpowered. But there's no way bows are like caster builds are terrible, man. And we're talking about league start, right? Can GGG just steal the last epoch legendary potential system though? Can they just steal it? Dude, GGG, can you just steal their shit? That's what we really want. Just like change it around and just pretend it's not the legendary potential system so we can have like uniques in our items, and we just steal that shit because that shit is too good. Okay, let's discuss T17s. I personally don't have anything against them. I think there were an addition to the game that made you do other things in the game besides running T16s, and I think they were fine. A lot of people have huge issues with T17s. I don't have any problems with T17s. They're just hard. And I think there should be content in the game that's hard. So your guys' problems is that you guys want T17s to drop the same amount of stuff as T16s, and that the loot in T17s is too good. Is that what your problems is? If the loot in T17s isn't good, why would you ever do them? Then you're just being suffering for no reason. The only reason the loot is good is because you're suffering. Okay, but if the bosses in T17s, if the loot isn't good in T17s, you just wouldn't do the map. You just boss rush. Do you really want every T17 to be an uber frag boss rush? That would feel horrible for the game. No, that's terrible. I don't agree with that at all. I think you guys are trying to ruin the game. T17s, but you don't even have to do them. Why do you have to do them? You don't have to do them. I went through the last league in Settlers. I barely did any T17s. I made hundreds of divines. I farmed 2 mere drops in T16 maps in Settlers. I mean, I play like a month and a half, and like so many locks. You don't even have to do T17s to make a lot of money. Like there's Sanctum, Ultimatum, like Expedition and freaking and Titanic 16s, and all of those freaking things make a lot of money too. I mean, Big Boom Expedition is like okay for money. It's not like the best, but it's not great. It's just too hard, I think. You need like a really specific build, and even with a really specific build, it's pretty hard. If you don't mind dying all the time, it's like, okay. It's very, very restrictive because you have to have a build that's like, I don't know, man. I don't even know what, like if they buffed ED, it would be the perfect build for it because you need some like spell-based dot build that can't get blocked. Well, ED can get blocked. And yeah, it has to be like dot based, right? And ED has to hit in order for it to apply damage. So it has to be some like dot based spell build that's not an ailment in order for it to do it correctly. It's very, very restrictive. That's the problem with Big Boom, or it's actually like half decent money. If you can go into every single Big Boom, just instantly clear it, it's actually probably really good money, but it's just really hard to do and it's really restrictive. But yeah, anyways, but I don't think CA has enough damage, to be honest. Corrupting Fever used to be really, really good. Corrupting Fever used to be really, really good for a Big Boom expedition, but it just doesn't do enough damage anymore. It used to be really, really good. No, it has to be non-ailment. If you do an ailment, they're all immune. If you do an ailment, RF Chieftain doesn't have enough damage, I don't think. You like kill off the white monsters and then the rares just destroy you, right? A Peacock is ailment. I don't know, man. It's really, really restrictive. I'm telling you, it has to be like a non-ailment dot build that doesn't hit. And it has to do like 20 million damage. And it has to be decently, like really tanky too. Those are like the requirements for you to do that strat. It's really, really hard. Anyways, that's besides the point. But I'm saying, you don't have to go, I just said 20 million damage, not 0.2 million damage. Anyways. But the thing with T17s is like, you don't even have to do it. I know it's the best for Scarabs, but if they buffed Simulacrum and they made all the Scarab nodes the same weight as like the normal things, I think the Scarab market will do much better than it currently is. I hope they do that. And it'll restore some money into Delhi, which kind of desperately needs it right now too. Because the only Delhi strats are kind of bogus too. You do it if you want to do Uber bosses, that's true, but you don't have to farm them to do Uber bosses. You just kill the boss, right? Is there any non-poison dot build that hits for 20 million with reasonable, not with reasonable gear, with good gear you can do it. Like power charge stacking ED and Soul Rend They all can do 20 million damage DPS. I think I don't know what else that can do it. I think power charge stacking Soul Rend is actually the best maybe power charge stacking Cold Dot. I don't know, but it's all some PC charge like spell build. Anyways, I guess that's all I want to cover today. And I hope this helps. I hope they make all of these changes or some of these changes this next league, so we can all have a better league and a better time. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye, loves. Mwah. Love you guys. Where I thought GGG was deleting this stuff. Hello, GGG? Delete? Hello, GGG? Delete? Delete?
$5 POB, bitch.
What? Delete? Hello? Mods? Delete? Oh my god. Delete it. Guys, stop using. How does this have 400 upvotes? Shut up. It's all you guys. Stop brigading Reddit. Change your name. What the fuck is Rue Meow Meow? Change that shit right now or you're banned. Don't encourage him. What the? Are you out of your mind?
Soft kitty, warm kitty, little ball of fur. Happy kitty, sleepy kitty, purr purr purr. Soft kitty, warm kitty, little ball of fur. Happy kitty, sleepy kitty, purr purr purr. Soft kitty, warm kitty, little ball of fur. Happy kitty, sleepy kitty, purr purr purr. Soft kitty, warm kitty, little ball of fur. Happy kitty, sleepy kitty, purr purr purr.
Yeah, I'm gonna reduce the cost of skip soon.